I'm fine. How are you? Can't get my laptop to like.
So good afternoon, everybody. We are going to start the meeting so all of you can pay attention to the meeting. All righty. So I'm going to call the public hearing for Thursday, August 1st on the block grant allocation plan for the FFY 24 Small Cities Community Development Block Grant to order. And we were going to have the commissioner here today, but the commissioner is ill and could not make it. So we are going to use, Mike, what's your title?
I'm the Director of Policy Research and Housing Support for the Department of Housing.
I'm going to use Mike Santoro, who just gave his title. And he has more years of experience in DOH than all of us put together, which doesn't really tell you his age, but.
Thank you, Senator. I appreciate that.
Go ahead, Mike.
Good morning, good afternoon, excuse me. On behalf of the Commissioner of the Department of Housing, I want to thank you for the opportunity to discuss the Community Development Block Grant Small Cities program and specifically our allocation plan for federal fiscal year 24. The Commissioner provided written testimony. I will set that aside. I won't try reading through it for you. But again, on behalf of both my Commissioner and my Deputy Commissioner, Brandon McGee, we are here to answer any questions you might have along the lines of our allocation plan. If I can, I'll give you a quick and dirty. This is a piece of our annual action plan, which is required to be submitted to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development in support of our formula grants, one of which is the Community Development Block Grant Small Cities Program. Once we go through this process, assuming our plan is approved, it is an attachment to our overall action plan that gets submitted to HUD. They have 45 days to review and approve. And assuming that they do that, then there's a 30-day contracting process and our new program year can begin. Again, happy to be here, happy to answer any questions about CDBG and of course about the department overall. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Relative to the previous year's allocations, do you keep an eye to make sure that those allocations are being spent?
Thank you, Senator, for the question. And the answer is yes. We annually produce what's called a PER or Performance Evaluation Report. Those PERs are published on our website. They're required to be submitted to HUD on or before September 15th. So our new PER, which would be through expenditures through June 30 of 2024, will be available before the end of September. But yes, we keep a close eye on not only our expenditures, but our commitments. And for us, that's equally as important because we need to know how much we have coming as well as what we have obligated so that we don't spend what we don't have.
And so that you are actually spending what you do have too.
Yes.
Because that's equally as important to make sure that someone doesn't apply for something and then not actually, and then receive the award, but not actually start spending the money right away.
Absolutely, Senator. And to be clear, once we make an award, we set a timeline when we expect to get under contract. And then generally they have 24 months to expend those funds under that contract. We do track that very closely. We can certainly provide any additional information you might have. I think you'll find most of what you want in our PER. But if there's any specific information you want about a particular project and their spending, we can certainly provide that.
Thank you. Representative Wood.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Michael, thank you so much for the presentation and being here today. I want to probably share common sentiments that this money is transformational for the communities that I get to serve. It's going towards such great causes in rehabilitating housing, which I'm sure this is happening across the state, but are sometimes 5 years of a waiting list to get into these housing. So it's really, it couldn't come at a better time. I would like to propose to the committee that we ask the executive directors to come in and talk with them about this process and hear how it went well, how it could be improved, and any other things that we can do to kind of hear from the boots on the ground perspective of applying for this grant and going through this process. I have spoken with many executive directors, and I feel they have a lot to say on this process. And I just want to put it out there that I would really like to hear from them on anything we can do to improve the process, and also what was a positive from applying for these grants. Is that
So-
something that we can do?
I think that that's something that we can do, but I also talked with Mike, whose title is really long, and
Director, good enough.
director, and asked him if we could do like a forum or a roundtable here, run by the 3 respective committees, to just hear what people have to say, and you could give us some information. So we'll look to try to schedule something along those lines, which, would just be a regular, kind of like an ad hoc hearing, but nothing formal, just to have people be able to give their opinions. And Representative Wood has said that in her district, there are a number of concerns. And so in order to get them heard and see what we can do, would you have any problem doing something along those
Senator,
lines?
we'd be happy to participate in a process like that. We provide technical assistance opportunities to our municipalities and our housing authorities on a regular and annual basis, but there's always an opportunity for us to engage with our constituents about accessing our programs. We are always looking for ways to improve what we do and how we do it. We want to make it as easy and as straightforward as possible while meeting our federal obligations at the same time. So certainly, if you want to organize some kind of a roundtable, we would be more than happy to bring our staff. I have our program director, Miguel Rivera, here today as well. I'm sure we can get Miguel and his staff here to meet directly with those constituents to talk about the application process and find ways to streamline it wherever possible.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question, Representative Wood?
Thank you very much. That does. Thank you to the Department of Housing and all the staff for their help with everything. I look forward to having the discussion. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Up next is Representative Paris, followed by Senator Hartley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Michael, it was good to have you here today. I just want to point out a quick point from the commissioner's testimony to us, and I appreciate all of the work that you all do. I think this is certainly helpful to our state. She noted that there was a decrease in the funding from HUD, which is, of course, a federal decision from HUD, and a decrease of about $32,000 in the grant. Are you expecting for that to happen year over year? And if so, what are we doing in anticipation of that happening to ensure that there are resources that will still cover the need here across the state?
Thank you, Representative Paris, for the question. And as you point out, we really have no control. It is based solely and totally on, first, the federal budget allocation for the CDBG program nationally, and then on the federal formula that they apply relative to our portion of CDBG. A loss or a decrease of $32,000, even for us, is minimal. In prior years, we've had a similar increase. So there's really not a lot of planning that we can do around making up for any potential loss. We have other resources that we target for similar activities on the state side, specifically our bonding programs under what is formerly the Affordable Housing Program, but commonly referred to as the Flexible Housing Program. Excuse me, through CHFA in particular. They roll out preservation funds under the state-sponsored housing assistance program, or SSHIP. It's used for similar activities. So we don't see this as a significant issue. Excuse me, but at the same time, we are looking, and I believe it's identified in our plan, we're looking to get a little over $2 million transferred from what was the old Neighborhood Stabilization Program, or NSP1 and NSP3. We've got funds on the table that did not get used. And we are working with HUD to get those funds transferred into CDBG. So we're looking at trying to get an increase of about $2 million. We don't think it's going to happen this fiscal year, this federal fiscal year, I should say. We are hopeful that it's going to happen in the next. We've been trying to get it transferred for 3 or 4 years now, and we've finally gotten HUD on board with getting those funds transferred into the CDBG program.
So
That still remains a federal plug in
Yes.
terms of making sure that that fund is solvent with a decrease, not a statewide.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Representative Paris.
Senator Hartley, followed by Representative Meskers.
Good afternoon, all. Thank you, Madam Chair. And Mike, thank you for being with us. And of course, our regards to Madam Commissioner. I just have a question regarding the allocation plan that's before us. So if you take a look at the annual allocations over 22 through 24, they're all in the same range, down a little bit, 1 year and then, but it's not significant. However, the admin is it fluctuates quite a lot. And if you look at the change from 22 to 23, admin is about half of what it was the previous year. And then you go and look at the following year, 24, and the admin is bumped up again by about 300K plus. So I'm just wondering, when the allocation is just about in the same range, how does the admin fluctuate so dramatically?
So one is an estimate and the other are actual expenditures. So we project for what we want to try to expend relative to our admin. And as you know, we have been trying to staff up at the Department of Housing under the current administration, and my deputy commissioner is here in case he wants to add more. But we are now actively getting staff in position. We expect those administrative costs to catch up to our estimates. Basically, we're trying to be upfront and as honest as we can about what we anticipate spending on admin. For good or for bad, we haven't had to spend it. We haven't spent it because we haven't had the staff. We do hopefully now have additional staff, which over the coming year will attribute for some of those administrative projection costs. But we'd hate to see it go the other way where we project a small number and spend a lot. So I'll be frank, we do aim a little high on our anticipated administrative cost expenditures. But what you are actually seeing are then actual expenditures that get credited come the end of the year.
Thanks, Mike, for that answer. So then you're telling me that 24, the number of 830 is a projection?
For 24, yes. That
Okay,
is correct.
and then you go and you look at 23 and it's about 550K plus or minus, and that's half of what it was in the year before, 22. So does that suggest there was a reduction in staff from 22 to 23?
In that case, it actually was a combination of a reduction in staff. We did have some staff changeover during that time period, but also cost allocation. So if you understand a lot of what we're doing, we are combining funds between multiple sources. So CDBG is leveraged with the program I mentioned earlier, the flexible program, in collaboration with CHFA, our sister agency, Connecticut Housing Finance Authority. So some of those administrative costs actually just get shifted over to CHFA, or some of our other state-funded programs. So we may have, I believe during that time period, we lost one staff person, but cost adjusted a number of staff to other sources. We didn't need to spend the CDBG money. We spent other money that was available. We try to do that because the federal dollars on the administrative side don't lapse. So if we don't spend them now, we have them to spend them later versus other sources, which we have to spend now, or we simply lose the money.
Apologies there for the guard dog. Okay, I understand that you're dealing with different funds and so forth. It's just on the face of it, when you're following these numbers, it's kind of difficult to follow.
Understood.
Okay.
If you look at the footnote,
Yeah.
it talks
Mhm.
about, or it used to. Oh, my apologies. This one doesn't. We can give you a more detailed breakdown of the staff allocated to CDBG, if that would be helpful.
Yes, it would. I mean, look, we always embrace efficiencies in admin, so as to funnel as much of program money to programs. So that's always encouraging to me. I'm just, I couldn't follow those huge fluctuations though. But thank you, Mike, and thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Up next is Representative Meskers, followed by Representative Cheeseman.
Thank you very much. And thank you for coming before us today. I want to echo Representative Wood's commentary about admin and costs as along with my co-chair of commerce. So I want us to look at community block development grants, and I think what we need to know is a good analysis of both on a regulatory framework, what you're spending on administration, and based on the regulations that we've enacted in the House, what additional costs are going to the projects. My concern is basically that community block development grants are getting out into the field to do the work they're proposed to do, and that the percentage. Yep.
Representative Meskers, you faded in and out. I think you're frozen a little bit. Can you repeat that last part of your question, please?
Yeah,
sir?
my concern is that the money is going out in the field and is being used adequately in the field. So I want to make sure that the administrative costs aren't rising, both from the point of view of what your administrative costs are and what our regulatory framework is that may be imposing administrative costs on the recipient. So I want feedback on that. When we looked at yesterday, there was an article in the local press about a Stanford school, and I think the expenses on building were up about 30 or 40% over the last 2 or 3 years. So our community block development grants, the efficiency with which we use the funds is very important because the costs of construction are going through the roof. So that'll be a laser focus for me. And lastly, it doesn't apply to you, I don't believe. But in the applications, I was applying locally, applying through OPM for grants from the state. And the process was closed and the applications were rejected because they were submitted with errors. So I'm hoping as we move forward with applications, and not from my community, but generically, that there's a weighted basis on merits so that if applications are somehow incomplete, that we can figure out how the bidding or the application process and allocation of funds are based on merit and not on whether it's grammar or whether box 3 is checked. Because my concern is that some of the money may not be getting to where it needs to get to. And that would be my second concern. I don't know if that's the case in how you manage the community block development grants, but if they're in a competitive process, I want to make sure that there's an iterative process so that people submit complete applications and aren't rejected for a simple error.
Thank you, Representative Meskers, and let me assure you, it is a competitive process, but no, we are not HUD. We don't reject simply because you checked the wrong box or didn't use proper grammar. We do engage directly with our applicants on a regular basis. We give them an opportunity to correct non-substantive errors throughout the application process. We are here to help them access these funds based on need, not based on, how they write a narrative. Absolutely.
I may have to send you over to OPM on your vacation time. So thank you.
So up next is, are you all set, Representative Meskers?
Yes, that's good. Thank you.
Up next is Representative Cheeseman, followed by Representative Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for being here today. Just two quick questions relating to, I guess, Table A, Column 3, carry forward of 9,465,000. Are these funds that have been allocated and not yet spent and are still with the recipients awaiting further spending?
That is correct.
So
Those funds, for the most part, have been committed to projects. We are either getting ready to sign contracts with them, or have signed contracts, and we're just getting underway. This plan was completed a couple of months ago, and has been under review and modification. So we're a little behind in terms of what's actually under contract. We do have a small amount of money held for cost overruns. As the previous representative pointed out, construction costs are through the roof. We are seeing gaps when these projects go out to bid. So we do have a little bit of money set aside so that if we need to increase an allocation to make sure that the project moves forward, we have those funds available.
okay. And the second question has to do with the reprogrammed funds, 1,259,144. And those are funds returned to DOH. One of the examples you gave was grantees who are not able to carry that out. Is this in a case where all of a sudden it's so much more expensive they can't do it, or needs have changed? Out of the reprogrammed funds, what percentage is linked to that, as opposed to people who have generated income or actually been under budget?
And we can give you details on that if you'd like, but in general terms, these are not projects that just got too expensive. We have not turned down a project just because it got too expensive. These are program generated income funds. That is, someone did a local activity and funds got paid back, or the project never went forward due to local conditions. Local priorities changed. I'm trying to think what the largest one, and generally these are all relatively small. It's just when you accumulate them all together, it looks like a big number.
Makes more money.
Yeah. But in general, we do not stop funding a project just because it came in over budget. We look for other resources to fill that gap to move the project forward.
Because if it's a good project, it's a good
Absolutely.
project, and you'll work with them to find the funding to make it come to fruition.
Absolutely, Representative.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Up next is Representative Johnson, followed by Representative Nolan.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you so much for being here today, Mr. Director. I just have a community here that does apply for community development block grant funds. Can you hear me okay? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, very good. And a couple of things that I just wondered, you mentioned how you derive some of the funds from 3 different sources. So my first question would be, are those three different sources that you're deriving the funding from, are they actually all consistent in terms of their requirements? In other words, are there any conflicts in those grants that you're combining to make CDBG money available to a particular community?
So no, there are no conflicts in terms of obligation. The use of the federal dollars are actually a little more restrictive than the use of our state sources. So if they're meeting their federal obligations in order to access the CDBG money, there are no additional state requirements that get in the way of leveraging other state sourced funds to address the same project.
Okay. But in terms of granting a project, just to follow up on that idea, is that something that you would make a decision about if there perhaps was a conflict in those 3 sources of income? that you're combining?
So again, when we are, and this was relatively new last year, where we tried to combine both federal CDBG money with state bond dollars under the Affordable Housing Program. We gave sponsors the option, if they wanted to move the project forward as a blended project, as opposed to waiting for access to the additional resources under one or the other. Miguel, correct me if I'm wrong. We have one that stayed blended?
We have one that did not.
One did not. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Got it backwards. So most of the projects end up being blended using state and federal resources. We had one project that chose to go straight federal CDBG dollars and not access the state dollars as a blended activity. Certainly, we are working with our sponsors to do what works best to get that project done as quickly as material and supplies can meet the needs, consistent with the local priorities.
And just to follow up on the concept.
This will be your third question, ma'am?
No, it was actually one question, Madam Chair. That
No,
was
we
one
don't do
question.
we don't do add-on questions.
It wasn't an
I know you
add-on.
love
It was
them.
a follow-up. It was a follow-up.
One quick follow-up and that's it.
Thank you. I just wanted to know about the actual cost, because I was told a couple of years ago in appropriations with respect to CDBG money that the town or the applicant with the town would have to actually show that they had the resources to actually do that development. Is that still an issue?
You're talking about the required match? CDBG does
Yes.
have a match requirement.
Okay.
If that is the case, then we do require a local match, but that local match can be in kind. That is, local municipal staff working on the project count towards that match. So if they spend staff time doing all the paperwork, watching the project, all of those hours of local work count as that municipality's match towards the project.
And so that's probably one of the reasons that we utilize all the CDBG money for the Housing Authority. Thank you so much for your testimony. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Up next is Representative Nolan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just wanted to touch base on, you talked about earlier, the grant overruns. That's been a concern for a few times that I've heard. In regards to that, is that grant overruns per project, or is that you put aside a considerable sum for when that happens, that you can help out for when people go over?
So we don't put aside a considerable fund. Every project has what's called contingency. There's an allocation built within the original development budget that would anticipate increased costs. What we are seeing, unfortunately, as a result of COVID, supply chain issues, material cost increases in prevailing wage, we are seeing projects estimating, then going out to bid and coming in at a substantially higher actual cost, somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 30%. So we immediately work with the sponsor to identify additional resources to fill that gap, whether it's additional CDBG or whether it's layering state dollars on top of those CDBG funds to move the project forward. We aren't holding money back from a grant award in order to meet those needs, but we recognize that we need to make sure that we do not overextend ourselves, because we're seeing substantial cost overruns or underestimates, if you will, over the last 2 years in particular, again, directly related to COVID and the supply chain and materials issues.
Thank you. And if there's any, have we done any streamlining in regards to any of the complexities that people might be talking about or sharing with you to make it easier for people to fill out the applications?
We are always looking for opportunities to streamline our processes, in particular for CDBG. Every fall, we do a free training for potential grantees or consultants to come in and learn about the process. We walk them through the application. They actually get a certification to participate. As a result, I think we have 7 or 8 certified consultants out there now helping municipalities. And again, any municipality that wants to get their staff trained can do so for free every fall. We've been doing that for 5 years now. So we think we continue to improve how we do what we do and make it easier for our applicants to access those funds within the federal guidelines.
Thank you. I just want to say I appreciate you coming before us to give us a better understanding and to share some of the issues that might have been raised. So thank you, thank the deputy, thank the staff, and we appreciate all your hard work.
Thank you, Representative.
Thank you. Up next is Representative Delnicki, followed by Representative Walker.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to draw your attention to the OFA document, the analysis. And I want to ask a question pertaining to the project request, project descriptions. At what point do these become approved and monetary values assigned?
So I don't have the OFA report, but if I understand the concept, what you're looking at are the applications that we have received
Correct.
for the coming year. So those right now we have in hand 15 applications for that would be reflected in this allocation plan. Those applications are being evaluated, scored, rated, and ranked right now. Basically, once we get through that competitive process, the top projects that meet the available funds will be offered. These cost estimates are just that. We may make an initial award based on the cost estimates of what was submitted, but these projects then go out to bid. It's when those bids come back, and that feeds back to what we were talking about relative to the gaps that we're seeing. We're seeing substantially higher bid cost than we're estimating. So we're trying to make some adjustments in the estimating process as we go. But we do have both a small amount of federal resources as well as our state resources to fill those gaps when those numbers come in. But initial awards are based on cost estimates for the application and the materials that they submitted. Final awards, contracting, happen after we get actual bids. So we have real numbers to contract.
As a follow-up to that, do you at this point have a short list already based on some preliminary calculations and work that you've done pertaining to this list?
We do not. I literally have 15 projects that are actively under review. Right now, there's no short list, there's no estimate. We've got about $13 million that we know is coming from the feds, and we have asked for around 21 million. So we know we're not going to be able to fund all 15 projects, but we have, as noted in the plan and as published on our website, detailed, clear, competitive scoring requirements. We do everything open, public. Everything is fair, equitable. There's no question about favoritism of any kind. Everything is clear. Everyone is scored appropriately. And if someone doesn't get awarded necessarily under the CDBG program, that doesn't mean we're not going to continue to talk to the applicants about other potential sources. Understand, we don't like to say no to anybody who has a need, particularly based on the availability of resources right now. I think everybody knows, as a state agency, we have access to a substantial amount of resources for housing of all types, kinds, and activities, and we are doing everything that we can to get those dollars out and into the economy as quickly as possible. So if you got a good project, we want to find a way to fund it.
And a date for that? And
Anticipated date for awards for CDBG, Miguel? Okay, we should be ready mid to end September. However, We can't make awards until we actually have a signed contract from HUD, which probably won't come in until October at the earliest. But we should be ready, assuming this allocation plan gets approved, we should be ready by the end of September to make awards. We just won't be able to actually issue them until our federal contract is in place.
Thank you for your answers and thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Representative Walker, followed by Senator Moore.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good afternoon. Great to see you. Thank you. First, you mentioned the fact that there's a match both state and local. What percent, is there a fixed percentage for each one of them for a project?
So we, as a state agency,
Yeah.
as a grant recipient from HUD, have an annual match. Excuse me. We are required to match admin.
Mm-hmm.
So under the federal formula,
Mm-hmm.
we get $100,000 plus 2% of our grant. That is our administrative allocation out of whatever funds HUD gives us. In addition, we are required to match that 2% with state dollars. So that's why when you look at the chart for admin, you see both federal and state. Okay, that is our state match. CDBG requires our grantees to match the dollars that they are getting under the grant. That has changed, and it changes periodically. And HUD publishes a match number every year. So it does vary, but it varies across the board.
Can you give me an example? Just like 2%, 3%?
What are we at right now for match under CDBG? Are we at 25%? Yeah. We're currently at 25% for CDBG.
Okay, for the local.
For the local.
Okay. Okay.
So on $100,000, they would have to match $25,000 locally. And again, they can match that with in-kind service.
Okay, got it. You also talked about your
Right. Oh, that's right. They can also use program income as match.
Oh, okay. Okay. You also talked about staffing changes.
Yes.
Okay. What staffing changes have you?
Well, in particular, we've added to our architectural technical services team. In particular, at one time, we were down to one building construction specialist
For the state?
for our department.
For the state?
And no architect, yes. We are now, thank goodness, we have a manager of our architectural technical services who is a highly experienced architect. We also have an architectural design reviewer, 2 building construction specialists, and one we are very particularly proud of, an environmental specialist too, who has taken our environmental reviews up to meet the federal standards, where we are actually providing service to HUD for other grant programs being administered. HUD is looking to us as a responsible entity to do some of those environmental reviews and sign-offs. So we're very proud of what we have accomplished under Architectural Technical Services team alone. In addition to adding program staff to learn about CDBG program and the administration of CDBG at the department, over the last year, we've added 3 what are called Connecticut Career Trainees, or CCTs, all of whom are being trained in a wide variety of our department's programs, including CDBG and how it's run.
I'm glad to hear that, because, the thing that people say, we've got to reduce government, but when we reduce government like this, it's at the city's expense and the town's expense, because the projects get slowed or never even evaluated or completed. So we have an obligation to make sure that you are adequately staffed so that you can do the business of the people on a timely manner, so that it doesn't take 8 years to do one project that was only 125,000. So thank you. Thank you. Oh, just one quick question. The audit that you talked about, that's due at the end of that was done the June 30th. You mentioned that at the very beginning.
Our performance evaluation report.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that out?
No, it will be out before the end of September. It's due to HUD in September.
Okay.
It will be out. My staff will kill me. Middle of August, it should be ready.
So we will get a copy of that, correct?
It will be available on our website. We can absolutely transfer you a copy as soon as it's ready. Aaron?
We'd appreciate that you would send it to us because we
Absolutely.
don't have time to do all of the, okay.
Without a doubt, Representative, happy to do that.
My co-chairs tell me shut up.
Up next is Senator Moore, followed by Representative Figueroa.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for coming. It's always something educational to sit and listen to. Tell us about the components of this, and thank you for the rest of the members of Housing that are here today. Something that piqued my curiosity was the technical assistance allocation. You mentioned that you have people going out training others. Is that falling under that expense to do that training?
Some of the costs for us providing a training are covered by the TA grant, but not a substantial portion of that, right?
Entire certified grant.
It's through the TA grant? Okay. Yes, Senator. So, the 1% that you see, in the TA line is used to support those training opportunities, every year.
So when I was thinking of technical assistance, I was thinking of the application, help with the application. Is that some of the work that they do also?
So you mean individual,
Yes.
application? They don't do direct, assistance in helping someone fill out the application. We provide training opportunities to teach people how to do that. There are right now 8 consultant groups out there that provide that technical assistance to the individual applicants. It wouldn't be fair if we helped one applicant over another because this is a competitive process. But we provide everyone with access to the appropriate training and certification to be able to fill out the application. Obviously, if they have a specific question during the application process, they can reach out to us and we will answer it. But we would not be able to, for lack of better terminology, handhold them in completing the application.
So if there's a percentage that's available to municipalities and nonprofits, what type to do technical assistance, what could they ask for?
So I'm not sure I understand. We, as a grant, the program sets aside 1% of the total grant amount for technical assistance related activities. Every year, we provide a training opportunity where we invite anyone who wants to come, get trained, and be certified to that opportunity. If you're asking about what funds do communities have to hire a consultant to help them complete the application, those funds are fully reimbursable from an award.
Okay, I wasn't asking that.
Okay, my
But
apologies.
that was a good answer. Something for me to learn about. That was
Okay.
great. I know I was wondering about the whole pot of money that we have in this grant. How is that money used? And it seems like it's really for you to provide technical assistance to those applications.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not asking 3. That was it. Thank you.
I'm very glad to hear that. Up next is Representative Figueroa.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. Director Santoro, thank you so much for your presentation. Very helpful. I do have a few questions. My first one will be, I heard you saying that you currently have 15 applications. So I would like to know as to what is the process when approving these applications? Is it based on priority, projects, or locations?
It is based on the priorities detailed in this allocation plan. There are specific criteria, which is essentially needs-based. It takes into other considerations like fair housing and other federally required components. But those rating and ranking criteria are published, they are available, and they are part of this plan. It is open, competitive, and fair.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Representative Figueroa, I just want to let you know the policy is only 2 questions, so use
Oh.
your questions wisely, okay?
I have, yes, thank you, Madam Chair. My second and last question would be, when cities are required to match a grant, do you release the money before the required match is in place, or do you hold the grant until this happens?
Oh, we do not hold the grant. No. Again, most of the time, match is met by in-kind, and that is just documenting time of their local staff. So no, that happens periodically throughout the entire grant period. We look to reconcile by the end of the project or during what's called project closeout.
Thank you, Mr. Santoro. Thank you, Madam Chair. I yield the floor.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Seeing no other questions, Representative Figueroa is someone that doesn't usually come on. Do you have one more question that you may ask?
Oh, thank you. One last, very short. I heard you saying, Director Santoro, that you do offer technical support to municipalities. Does every municipality takes advantage of this? Because obviously, but for me, this means that, it's a financial savings when they take this support.
I would say no, not every municipality that is eligible for CDBG takes advantage of the technical assistance or the program. So there are, let me get the number right, 139 eligible communities, and we consistently see 30 to 40 that come in and out of the program. There are easily 100 communities that have never applied for or tried to access CDBG. We invite them to participate in our technical assistance opportunity in the fall. If any new community is interested in learning about CDBG, we ask them, reach out to the department. We will happy to connect them with consultants with those training opportunities. We want more involvement. So if you've got a community that has not yet looked at CDBG, please send them our way.
I don't know whether Stanford is taking advantage of this support. So if you could send me that information.
Stanford is an entitlement community. They get a direct CDBG allocation from HUD. So they would not be eligible to apply for this program.
They already
Perfect.
get money
Yeah, they get money directly.
directly.
Yeah.
Lots of.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you both.
Representative Nuccio, what are you doing asking a question at the last second? Because I was just going to end this meeting so we could go to voting. What's going on?
Because that just brought up, he said that a lot of communities aren't applying. So what exactly is the limitation of size before somebody can apply?
Limitation of size, under 50,000.
Oh, it's population under 50,000. If you look at the and give me 2 seconds here, I'll tell you. If you look at page 3 of the allocation plan itself, that table identifies the entitlement communities here in the state of Connecticut. Those communities get a direct allocation from HUD. Everybody else is eligible.
So the entitlement are direct already from HUD, but anybody not on that list is eligible to apply for this.
That is correct.
Thank you for that clarifying information. See how quick and painless that was there, Kathy?
But now I have somebody asking a second question for a second time.
Just quickly, thank you so much, Madam Chair. I saw New London on that list, and I was under the understanding that London had less than 50,000 people. And I just wondered how that occurred. How did they get on the entitlement list?
Unfortunately, you'd have to ask HUD why New London is a direct entitlement. They get direct money from HUD. That's HUD's choice.
So how does HUD make that choice? Do you know? Follow-up question.
It's a federal program. We have this wonderful Representative Congressman Courtney. You can put that question right to him. Not you.
I thought I had an authority here. Thank you, Madam Chair.
No. Seeing no other questions, I'm going to close the public hearing at this time. Thank you. And Mike, we'll set up a meeting time. We'll get in touch with you probably in the next couple months.
Thank you very much, Senator. I want to thank the entire committee, all 3 committees.
We hope the commissioner is feeling better in a few days.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And so we're going to go for those of you that are chairs of commerce and chairs of housing and chairs of appropriates. There is a sheet that went around to lead you through the process of this. And first up will be commerce. I don't know which one of you is doing the. Yep.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and Somehow I don't have that sheet, but I'm going to wing it here anyway. And I'd like to call to order the Commerce Committee this Thursday, August 1st at whatever time this is, 2:49. The matter before us today is the authorization of the 2024 Small Cities CDBG allocation plan. And I will entertain a motion. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. And is there discussion, Commerce Committee members? I am not seeing any hands raised. Please holler if I'm missing you. And if not, I'm going to ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Hello, voting to approve federal fiscal year 2024 Small Cities Community Development Block Grant Allocation Plan. Senator Hartley, how do you vote?
You'll need to turn up your volume. It's very hard to hear you.
We can't hear you, Trish.
Is this better?
Not
Yeah,
really.
can you
A
turn
little
it
bit.
a little bit more? Yeah.
I don't have volume control, just my voice. I'll get louder, like I'm yelling at my children. Is this better?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I'm calling roll, voting to approve federal fiscal year 2024 Small Cities Community Development Block Grant Allocation Plan. Senator Hartley, how do you vote?
Senator Hartley in the affirmative.
Representative Meskers,
Representative Metzger's in the affirmative.
Senator Rahman,
Senator Rahman vote yes.
Representative Fazino,
Representative Fazino votes yes.
Senator Martin, Representative Harrison,
Representative Harrison votes yes.
Representative Anderson, Representative Anaskevich,
Representative Anaskevich votes yes.
Representative Cheeseman,
Representative Cheeseman votes yes.
Rep. Curry, Representative Figueroa,
Representative Figueroa vote yes.
Representative Foster,
Representative Foster votes yes.
can you repeat that, please?
Representative Foster votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Garabay,
Garabay votes yes.
Representative G, Representative Heffernan,
Representative Heffernan votes yes.
Senator Hockadell, Representative McGorty, Senator Miller,
Senator Miller votes yes.
Senator Needleman,
Senator Needleman votes yes.
Representative Poulos,
Rep Poulos votes yes.
Representative Rochelle, Senator Summers, Representative Vale, Representative Wood.
Rep. Wood votes yes.
Is there anybody here that's vote hasn't been counted? Senator Martin, Representative Curry, Representative G, Senator Hockadell, Representative McGorty, Rep. Rochelle, Senator Summers, and Rep. Vale. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and I'll ask that you please announce the tally. We are not holding votes open.
That would be a total of 15 yays and 9 absent not voting.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And at this time, the Commerce Committee will stand in recess.
Thank you. The Housing Committee will now convene the meeting for the 24 Small Cities Community Block Grant Allocation Plan to be approved. 24. And I'm asking for a motion and a second to approve the 24 year ending 24 Small Cities Community Development Block Grant.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? Discussion? Hearing none, I ask the clerk to call the roll.
Thank you, Senator. This is a roll call vote for federal fiscal year 2024 Small Cities Community Development Block Grant Allocation Plan. Representative Felipe,
Representative Felipe votes yes.
Senator Moore,
Senator Moore votes yes.
Representative Scott,
Representative Scott votes yes.
Senator Sampson, Representative Khan, Senator Lesser,
Senator Lester in the affirmative.
Senator Fanfara, Senator Hockadell, Representative Brown,
Representative Brown votes yes.
Representative Butler, Representative Gonzalez, Representative Roberts, Representative Paletta, Representative Weir.
Rep. Paletta votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Weir.
Rep. Weir is yes.
Thank you. Representative Zula. Representative Belton.
Rep. Bolton votes yes.
Thank you.
Sorry, also Representative Roberts votes yes.
Thank you, Representative. Total voting 9. Total voting yay 9. Total voting nay 0. Abstain 0. Absent not voting 7.
Well, it's 24, 25. Housing, thank you. Housing now recesses.
Thank you. We're gonna, the Appropriations Committee, meeting, will be convened. The Appropriations asked for a motion and a second on the federal fiscal year 24 Small Cities Community Development Block Grant Allocation Plan. Is there a motion?
So moved.
By Representative.
Second.
Second.
Second by Representative Delnicki, in interest of his injury. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Madam Administrator, if you could call the roll.
I'm going to call it slowly, Madam Chair, because we've had some late arrivals to the dance who are looking for their links that we've just sent. So I'm going to be proceeding slowly.
Okay.
Senator Austin.
Senator Austin votes in the affirmative.
Representative Walker. Senator Hartley.
Senator Hartley in the affirmative.
Representative Exum.
Representative Exum votes yes.
Representative Paris.
Representative Paris votes yes.
Senator Berthel, good afternoon, sir.
Well, good afternoon to you, Madam Administrator. It is lovely to see you, and I vote in the affirmative.
Representative Nuccio.
Representative Nuccio votes yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Senator Anwar.
Senator Anwar votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Baker,
Senator Baker votes yes.
Representative Belinsky, Representative Callahan, Representative Candelaria,
Representative Candelaria votes yes.
Representative Chaleski,
Representative Chaleski votes yes.
Representative Curry, Representative Dathan, Representative DiCaprio,
Representative DiCaprio votes yes.
Representative Delaney,
Representative Delaney votes yes.
Representative Delnicki, Representative Dillon,
Representative Dillon votes yes.
Representative Felipe,
Representative Felipe for a second time votes yes.
Senator Flexer.
Senator Flexer votes yes.
Oh, I need your camera on, please, ma'am.
It's not. Senator Flexer votes yes.
No, I can't take your vote without seeing you, unfortunately. I'll swing back to you, see if you can work on the camera.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Representative Fonsello. Representative Garabay.
Garabay votes yes.
Representative Gibson.
Representative Gibson votes yes.
Representative Gilchrist.
Representative Gilchrist votes yes.
Senator Gordon.
Good afternoon. Senator Gordon votes yes.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you. Representative Gonzalez. Representative Haddad. Representative Haddad.
Representative Haddad votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Hall. Representative Harrison.
Representative Harrison votes yes.
Representative Hoxa. No. Representative Johnson.
Representative Johnson votes yes.
Representative Khanna.
Representative Khanna votes yes.
Representative Kennedy.
Kennedy votes yes.
Senator Kushner.
Senator Kushner votes yes.
Senator Lesser.
Senator Lesser votes yes.
One more time, please.
Lesser, yes.
Thank you. Senator Marks.
Senator Marks votes yes.
Representative McCarty.
Representative McCarty votes yes.
Senator McCrory. Representative Nolan.
Nolan in the affirmative.
Representative Porter. Representative Osborne.
Osborne, 1 second. Representative Osborne votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Reyes. Representative Rosario.
Representative Rosario in the affirmative.
Representative Retigliano. Representative Ryan. Representative Sanchez. Senator Slapp.
Hello, Senator Slapp votes yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Representative Sims.
Representative Sims in the affirmative.
Did you get that, Madam Administrator?
Thank you. Senator Summers.
Senator Summers votes yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Representative Tursiak.
Thank you, Madam Administrator. Only here because of your efforts through the meeting. Representative Tursiak votes yes. Thank you.
Senator Winfield, I see you.
Senator Winfield, in the affirmative.
Thank you, sir. Representative Zawistowski.
Representative Zawistowski votes yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Are there any members of the Appropriations Committee who have not yet cast their vote, who would like to do so?
Representative Dathan is here.
Nice to see you, ma'am. How would you like to vote?
I'd like to vote in the affirmative. Representative Dathan votes yes.
Thank you. All right. Senator McCrory.
Senator McCory's right here.
Hi there.
How you doing there, Susan?
Doing well, sir. Thank you.
Are you looking for my vote?
If you care to cast it, sir, I'd love to take it.
I'd like to vote in the affirmative.
Thank you, sir.
That's all you need from me today, Susan?
Yes, thank you, sir.
I'll go back to my regularly scheduled programming.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye.
That was easy.
All right. Is there anyone else?
You said you were going to go back to Senator Flexer. to see if
Oh,
she-
that's right. Thank you very much for the reminder, Senator Austin. Senator Flexer, have you resolved your camera issue?
I haven't, unfortunately. Just the button still doesn't work, Madam Administrator. I apologize.
Holly Moses. So what we'll do, ma'am, is in the minutes, we will reflect that there were technical difficulties and that while we could not see you in order for you to cast your vote, that you were in support of the plan. If that is
Okay.
going to vote.
Yes.
Okay.
Although I'd rather just vote, but yes.
Great. Thank you. I know. I wish I could do that, but under the rules, unfortunately, I can't. All right. Anyone else?
You want to go to a quieter spot?
Madam Administrator, if you could tally up those votes.
Oh, you saw it?
Oh, May? May, try again because I just saw you pop up. May? Senator Flexer? Hello?
Yes.
Just try again because you just popped up. Try pushing it again.
I am.
Oh, sorry. Somebody just saw it pop up. Sorry. Go ahead, Sue. Madam Administrator.
Okie dokie.
And the tally is?
Total number voting 40, those voting yea 40, those voting nay 0, those abstaining 0, those absent not voting 13.
Motion passes. I'll entertain a motion from the Appropriations Committee to adjourn the meeting. Representative Walker is a first, Representative Nolan is a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. The meeting is adjourned. I return it back to the Commerce Committee.
And the Commerce Committee will reconvene. And at this juncture, seeing no further business before us, I will entertain a motion to adjourn today's Commerce Committee. And is there a second?
Second.
Thank you much. Moved and seconded. Commerce stands adjourned. Thank you all.
Housing Committee now reconvenes the meeting and asks for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Moved.
Madam Administrator, can you let us know what we have our next meeting, please?
On August 13th at 11 a.m. The Appropriations, Energy and Technology, and Human Services Committees will be hearing the federal fiscal year 25 LIHEAP allocation plan.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Everybody have a nice summer. See you next week or the week after.
Madam Chair? Madam Chair?
Go ahead.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She just said the next meeting will be August 13th.
August 13th, sir, at 11 a.m.
Okay, that is primary day, for myself and, many others around the state. So I don't know. I probably most likely won't be in attendance if it's on the
I
13th.
want you to go to the primary day and work really hard.
Madam Chair, Madam Chair,
Will do.
the date was changed to the 12th. So if you take a look online, you'll see the date was changed from the 13th to the 12th. So I was, it's online now, the change of the date, probably because primary day is the 13th.
The administrator says.
I
it's-
know, but I think that somebody sent it out and it says the 12th now. So just
I
saying,
don't know that Comey can do that without talking to the appropriations administrator.
whatever.
He says it's the 13th, so.